are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of TOMz Radio Toronto or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment and general information only, in the hope that they will be entertaining and informative to listeners. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented necessarily accurate or verifiable.
Good afternoon, Toronto. Mabuhay ang lahat ng Pilipino na nakatunin po sa ating open forum dito po sa ating TOMz Radio Toronto. And here is your kababayan, your countryman, your friend, Ramon Datol. And of course, today, as we said in our Facebook page, we will be having a special guest, a candidate for Toronto's Ward 8 or Lawrence Eglinton riding. Please welcome our friend Philip Davidovich. Good afternoon, Philip.
Magandang hapon.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
All right.
Thank you for having me again.
Okay.
I really appreciate this opportunity, especially after we had the first discussion and I had time to process in more detail all the issues and all the challenges and maybe find a better platform to help that makes common sense to deal with the challenges in our community.
Yes, of course. In the first interview that we had with Philip, we know that it is not politics, which is his bread and butter. He's a businessman and career, I think. And this is the first time that you're going to venture or enter politics in your life, right?
So I was the chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce in Canada of a chapter. The American Chamber of Commerce is the #1 lobby group in America.
Oh,
and they have chapters all over the world, including the Philippines. And they understand cross-border business, but more importantly, how to help their communities and how to get things done. So that was my background and understanding. And when I look at what's going on in the world and the opportunities that our community has, I feel now is the right time for me to leverage what I know and what I've learned and my connections to help.
Yeah, because you have lobbyists, of course, for good projects that will benefit the people, right?
Correct, yes.
Well, in one of your programs, housing, affordable housing, but could you spell out what is really called affordable housing here in your area?
So I want to have affordable housing, but I don't want it to be just a buzzword. I want it to actually mean something.
Okay.
And more than that, I want the affordable housing opportunities to benefit the people who are living in our community and not people who are outside who maybe have special connections to the government. So, you know, and we have people, we have families, we have mothers, daughters, cousins that, you know, that they need a place to stay, their income can't afford it. And I believe that there's 71 projects now in Eglinton, Lawrence. I don't think anyone's gone to our communities, the Filipino community, the Spanish community, the Jewish community, the Italian community, and said, we're building 71 projects, we have 140 units available for affordable housing.
How many? 171?
There's 71 units approved now that they're doing in Lawrence, and forget about new units they want to do. So from these 71 existing approved units that they're building, that's where you see the cranes. I don't know if any government person's gone to our communities and say, we have these housing, we're going to make, let's say, a percentage of it, 10%, let's say, affordable. Do you have people in your community that we need to help to allow those people priority access for those houses?
Who determines the family that needs affordable housing? Who determines it? What governmental functions or agencies that looks into it?
Well, there's several agencies that have the connections to provide it. A lot of the lobby groups are very strong in saying, we want our people, you know, so they may have people in Brampton, they may have people in Scarborough that are outsider that because they belong to a certain project, they're getting the priority. I want the priority to be people who are already living in our
Yeah,
community.
in your riding, right?
That should be first to help, and I want the not-for-profits and our community groups to be involved in that choice of who we can help first.
Could the city council do that? Select your the people residing in your riding to be prioritized for the vulnerable riding?
That's actually one of their priority focuses. They're responsible for the shelter and the housing piece of their specific ridings. But when they go out, it's almost like they're saying, well, even though we're responsible, we're looking at the greater good. We're not looking at this specific community. If I'm a city councilor, my priority should be the people who are under my umbrella,
Correct.
helping them, and that's
Correct.
not the case right now.
But you could do it if elected as
It's a-
councilor for one.
It's a priority of mine to do, and more than that is, like, I'm seeing more and more with because they're allowing outside developers to come in and develop our land and even giving city land for it. A lot of these big developers are using tricks to get the existing people to be forced to leave their homes. So I want to stop that. You know, if somebody wants to buy a property, we need to see how that property is going to be to the benefit of the existing people in the community. And it should be for people, you know, outside the community or for the developer's priority. And it's getting worse as opposed to better. People, you know, are in an apartment building and somebody decides they buy a building, they want to make the building better. They can put a lot of pressure on those existing tenants to leave or charge them much more rent. That has to stop right away. And as a councillor, I would have a lot of say and a lot of power
Correct.
to keep those people in their homes.
Correct. And besides, going back to your point of constructing more affordable housing in your unit, that creates job for your for the citizens that resides in your riding, right?
And more than that, that's a really good point, and I think that it's a miss as part of it. Right now, we bring in workers from the outside.
Yeah.
Nobody goes ahead and say, you know what, we're creating jobs in our community. Why can't we look at existing labor and existing contractors who are already in our community
Correct.
to work on those jobs and who care about the community and not, you know, someone who cares about the community, if they're not working today on the job, they're not going to take space on the road. Somebody who's coming from a different community and they say, you know, come back next Tuesday, they're just going to leave the stuff on the road and block the road and not care about the community.
Well, that's the one of the biggest problems that confronts, of course, the citizens here, especially in some ridings. They don't have enough job for these people who suffer so much during the 2-year pandemic years, right?
And we're not looking at a focused community job creation program.
Okay.
And to that end, when I was with AmCham, I worked with different counties, and a county is usually about 170,000 people, which is, Eglinton Lawrence is 120,000, so pretty similar the dynamics and the group. We have a lot of manufacturers and people who want to be small and medium businesses. We should be allowing them the same benefits that the bigger companies are getting. And you know, right now at best, small business was giving a 2 or 3% tax rebate, which is not nonsense, but it also shows city council has some power to give those type of tax rebates. So if they have the power to give tax rebates, let's have city council advocate and put pressure to have more manufacturing, and that manufacturing will be in the community and give jobs, and it's not just the job, it's the money that flows. Because what happens is if you have local people working at local jobs in your community, that money stays in the community. If you have people working at jobs here,
money is not going out from your
going out of the
community.
community.
It just revolves around the community, right?
Right. So that money is money that will circulate in our community and will help other peoples in our community.
By the way, you know, probably you know how many people reside in your riding.
It's 120,000.
120,000 plus.
Plus.
How many voters do you have? Around 30 to 50% of the total population.
I'm getting maximally 25,000 people will vote.
25,000.
So important if people believe in something, that people want to support, that people go out and vote, because votes, especially for municipal elections, it is so important to support
Very
your,
important, right?
very important.
And of course, the election will be held October 24.
But you can go, the
2
early
weeks,
voting
yeah.
is this week, so a lot of people are voting
Advance voting now.
is right now. So
Okay.
right now there's a couple of advanced voting places in our riding,
Okay.
and you know there's no reason to wait for longer if you have time during the week.
When is the advance voting to be held? Right now?
Right now till Friday.
Friday.
From today, from Monday to Friday this week.
Oh, even tomorrow is holiday,
Tomorrow,
but
too.
of course,
Tuesday,
should they vote on Thursday?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because the people are
Yeah.
enjoying the long weekend. Right?
Of course, of course.
Yes, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you could cast your vote on advance voting on Monday and Friday. But after the election, you have to go to the polls. Bring your, there are notices now
Just notice
for the
now.
voters, right? But what if they don't have received the notices? But they voted last election.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
they vote?
So yeah, but worst case, the safest thing is just to go online and make sure and register online.
Okay.
I mean, one thing about this municipal election, because like my first time I've ever done this, is number one, I noticed how much the city is going out of the way to make it good and easy
Yeah.
for people, number one, to run, to campaign, and number two, to go out and vote. So if you go on the website, there's a phone number to call, there's information to register online. They really try to help people who want to be helped.
Did the city council, the Toronto City Council, made some, of course, linkages for the voters to speak to the candidates? Did they do that?
Yes, if you go on the list, there's a list with my email address is there, my phone number is there. So the candidates can be as available as they want to be.
So what I mean is that, like in our place, Richmond, the City Council of Richmond made a link wherein all the candidates are present in such particular day and time for the voters if they want to talk to all these candidates. I don't know if Toronto City made that link.
I don't know of a Toronto
Yeah.
City specific time, but I'm getting emails every day. I'm getting
Yeah, I know. You got a lot of
Yeah,
emails.
people reaching out with tech questions, and you know, people really. It's a very fair process.
Correct. Well, of course, some of the questions that I already received to ask you now, because they know that you will be my guest, how could you help the small businesses that suffered so much during the 2-year pandemic in your area?
So there's two types of small businesses. You have the retail small business,
Mm-hmm.
and you also have the wholesale small business.
Yes, correct.
So one of my most wins, I think the word is, what I've done in the government many years ago,
Uh-huh.
is we have a export group called the EDC, Export Development Corporation,
Mhm.
which was only allowed to be for manufacturers to ship to other countries. I changed the law, and I created a trading company in Canada.
Trading.
Can also sell to anyone because that's
Oh.
fairness. So if you look at the EDC now, any trading company could sell, but it's the same thing as too. Whatever standard they're giving big retail, whatever opportunities they're allowing big retail, the small retail companies should have the same access. And whatever opportunity they're giving big manufacturers like $500 million to Ford Canada, $500 million to Honda to learn EV technology, they should be giving to small manufacturers and small companies under whatever standard they created. And that's not being done. And one of the pieces that I definitely want to advocate for is for that change to be made for small, medium businesses.
Yes. Do you have small manufacturing businesses in your riding right now?
Yeah, so we have some pockets of areas where and also getting a lot of support from the small and medium manufacturers because
Manufacturing what type of product?
everything from furniture to food
Furniture.
and food. So with
Okay.
and with the food too, I because I sell food to retailers as part of my business, along with furniture, is they there's when you're doing food internationally, you have a lot of laws that you got to do as far as
Yeah,
packaging.
Packaging.
But those laws, if you're manufacturing locally in Caledonia Road, and you're selling to a local guy in Eglinton, and you can remove the ancillary, the extra cost of the packaging in that, and just deliver a chicken with, let's say, 2 pieces of paper, okay, it's going to be a much more affordable chicken than when you have to have double wrap with 5 stickers, with double boxed, right, with a special truck. And that's also partly what I want to advocate. Make food simpler and more affordable and more local.
Well, do you have any, let's say, not small but medium manufacturing business in your riding that make children's clothes, toys, or are there things that could be sold here, t-shirts like that could be sold locally?
We need a good T-shirt manufacturer. So we also need a good sock manufacturer. So so socks.
Socks, right.
So in Quebec actually has the best program for small and medium manufacturers to compete. So I work with the Bureau de Quebec, the Quebec government on that, and one of my sock manufacturers in Quebec is Phil. It's the same machines. If you buy a couple of machines and you put them in Montreal, it's the same cost as making in China.
So you could transfer that kind of business here in your riding, right?
Right. So we can put, let's say, 5 sock machines, make a couple thousand socks a week, and they could sell it to locally. And if they're selling locally, they shouldn't have all this packaging and waste and carbon footprint, I think is the word they use, and will be more affordable.
Okay, we'll be talking more about that kind of businesses that Philip the Beach or the Little Beach will bring to his riding at Lawrence and Newton when we come back. Did you end for our first, of course, break? Take it away.
Mga kababayan, pwede na magpadala ng pera online to the Philippines gamit ang Ironit X. It's safe, secure, and hassle-free. Download the app from the Google or App Store and register for free. You can also visit our branches in Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. Or Google us at www.ironitx.com for more information. Huwag nang ipagpabukas pa. Download na!
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
kahit nasa bahay ka lang gamit ang iyong Show My King online franchise business. Step 1, you post. Step 2, we deliver. Step 3, you earn. Tandaan, sa Show My King lang yan.
right, and of course, this is your friend Ramon Datol, and my special guest for today is the one of the most known candidate now because of what he is doing in his campaign strategy. He's knocking on the doors of almost all the people here, especially the voters in Lawrence Eglinton riding or Ward 8 in Toronto. Philip Davidovich. All right, we will be going back to Philip, and before we left, we are discussing about what he could do, because he's a lobbyist, a professional one, and he brought several businesses here. And he mentioned a while ago the sock manufacturing business in Montreal, which he could bring to his riding here at the Lawrence Eglinton riding. Okay, going back to that, Philip, could you please further explain to our viewers how would you do it?
Okay, so
Are you going to put your own business or talk to your friends in the business sector to put up such kind of business there?
well, the idea is though, is I take people who are living in the community,
Okay.
and I ask them, are you interested in starting a business?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a business development, show, and we bring in
yeah.
people who are offering the government grants, the machinery, the equipment financing, and it could be general and it could be industry specific. So a lot of people also, they want to know, number one, what do they need to start? So you have a lot of people that have an interest in the sock business.
Yeah.
So we can connect them to sock machinery and maybe do a small joint venture with a factory in Bangladesh where we bring in, where they do socks there, right? But instead of spending 3 months shipping and freight and everything,
do it here.
take the same machine and you do it here.
Oh.
You save right away 20-30% on the cost,
Correct.
and you're using local labor, and you don't have the same what we call carbon footprint of doing all that manufacturing and logistics from the Orient.
Yeah, some big companies, of course, in the States or probably here in Canada, they do their businesses, let's say pants, of course, t-shirts in China because of the low cost of course, production cost, and then ship it back here. If they could do your proposal of the machine that would create that product being here, well, you're correct. We will be, the cost of production and the cost of shipping here, too costly.
And it's also, you need to have the government supporting it, because a lot of the manufacturing, the government makes it very onerous, very difficult to be manufactured. So like with tuna fish, you can almost not manufacture tuna fish in Halifax where the tuna fish is. So everyone's going to Thailand because no one inspects at the same level in Thailand that they expect in Nova Scotia. So we have to look at too, and when we're producing a product, we should be not forced to be a higher standard than the one we're competing against.
Well, of course, Vancouver, British Columbia, noted for tuna fish, right?
Tuna fish, correct.
Of course, some businesses here are exporting or importing tuna fish in the Philippines. You know that? Thailand, or you said Thailand, Vietnam, and even Indonesia that are taking their fish here. Why not cultivate that fishing industry here, of course?
And just generally the manufacturing. Because manufacturing is taking the raw fish, the big fish, and cutting it into different pieces and making it a product that serves the many different types of consumers. It's not just like, you can be bringing in you can be fishing in British Columbia, you can be fishing in Thailand or the Philippines. It's not just getting that big fish. A lot of our kids don't even know. They don't even know what the tuna looks like, right? In their mind, all the tuna is a little package that they buy at the store.
Yes. Well, going back to local businesses, let's say you won the election as councillor, then you will filing up bills that could create jobs here. And of course, because of your expertise in many businesses, let's say making of ball pens, pencils.
Perfect.
Probably in your area, it's a big area, the Lawrence Eglinton, only the machines that you need, and you could talk to some of your rich friends in the business sector to invest, right?
And there's a lot of money for investment
Yes.
if it's organized in such a way where they know how it's available. And part of the problem in Canada, there's never been a focus for the investment.
Yeah.
So in Quebec, all the small businesses, most of the small businesses, they go to as a first choice the Caisse Populaire, which is the investment fund of Quebec. Ontario does not offer that. I don't know why. Right? Because they're focused on big business.
Yes.
And we need to change that. We need to change that. You know, after COVID and after the lockdown, a lot of small businesses they're trying to get back up and they're trying to get going. We need to help them. We need to help them.
Yeah.
We need to help them prioritize, give them orders. So if let's say there's a government order for pens, and we can produce those pens locally, why import those pens when they can have a local supplier?
Yeah. If Quebec has been doing this for years, why don't somebody, okay, guys, here is a man that could bring and open up small businesses here. If Quebec did it, he could do this in Lawrence and Linton Riding.
And it's more to help support, teach them the existing, go through the people what the existing programs are, bring in the people who are creating these programs, bring in the investment people who are investing for those programs.
Correct.
So you know, if we could have another 20% more businesses in our riding, that's 20% more jobs and 20% more income coming through. The problem we have, the other problem that I need to try to solve, is if you go, let's say, to Broome County, which is 170,000 people, similar to our riding here, if myself or someone brings in a foreign direct manufacturer, that money will stay in the county.
Yeah, correct.
Here, if you bring in factories that will produce another $20 million, let's say, that money doesn't stay in our community. If we could find a way that
it goes out.
If that money can stay in the community, that money could be used to lower house taxes because we don't need as much money. So
no more increase in taxes, you know.
Yeah, and taxes will go down. So in let's say Broome County, where the old IBM plant is, and I actually had an office there, we brought in a lot of new manufacturers, and the housing tax went down.
Yes.
So that's also something we need to try to fix.
You know what? I like your vision, Philip. No? Unlike the old politicians, they're just trying to win back their seats. They're not promising anything to constituents like you. Because I could see your visions to be making your riding a very livable place here in Toronto. Right? And one thing that I admire you is probably your plans of those people, because you visited a lot of countries before, right? And you've seen professionals in the Philippines and other countries going here, but they could not practice their profession. And I think one problem is that you're going to help these professionals come to your riding to perform their profession. Engineers, doctors, nurses, caregivers.
I mean,
How is that? How would you do that?
I mean, if someone's a doctor in the Philippines, and I go visit the Philippines,
Okay.
and I have insurance, right?
Insurance.
Medical insurance,
Okay.
and I need to go to a hospital in the Philippines, the Canadian insurance will insure me and pay for me
Health insurance.
to see that doctor in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But if the same doctor moves to Toronto, he's not allowed to treat me in Toronto. So I think there's something wrong with that.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You should doctor in the Philippines, here not.
The same doctor, knows the health.
Same person.
The insurance, my health insurance, whichever insurance I have, will pay, because this doctor's a doctor, it's a real hospital, but if the same doctor moves to Canada, he can't practice what he knows.
Do you think? Well, yeah. Anyway, we are not doctors anyway. We are not professionals to determine if the doctor in the Philippines qualified for being a doctor here. Do they have different kind of health courses when they were still studying?
So, you know, a general practitioner
Yes.
has, let's say, 4 years training.
Okay.
And when you go to a general practitioner, when you go into your doctor's office, you don't know how well he did in school, right? You know, you go to him and your high blood pressure, there's a pill to give you. at the end of the day, when you go from general practitioners to internal specialists with another
specialists
with another 4 or 6
great.
years,
Uh-huh.
right? But to block out to the level we do these experts in their fields
Uh-huh.
and not leave us open to be able to, as a choice, especially now we're going to thing where there's such a shortage.
Yes,
Right?
Of course, we have
So-
shortage here in the profession, especially in the healthcare.
In the healthcare, yeah.
But of course, Canada is not accepting nurses coming from the Philippines.
Yes. So I don't know how much is a municipal election
Okay.
I can do, but whatever I can do, I definitely want to do. And sometimes they don't need the designation, but they can work. If they're allowed to work, they should get paid close to the same.
Correct.
So even though let's say they're working as a PSW, but they're trained as a nurse.
Yes.
So let's say a PSW makes between $18 to $22 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and a nurse makes $38 an hour.
It's a big difference.
But if we can pay them $28 to $32 an hour
Wow.
and do that work, I think that's a fair balance.
How could you do that if you are an elected councillor in your area? I will give you
So in my area, my plan is, as an urgent thing, we want to do hospice care right away.
Oh, yeah, that's
So if we can create hospice care and urgent care,
You have hospitals in your riding?
so we have hospitals, let's say 10 minutes away.
10 minutes
But the
away.
problem is, if you're in the hospital and you're not sick enough to stay in the hospital, let's say I have a friend of mine, he has a father-in-law that's 80-something years old, they're going to let him out of the hospital, he's too sick to go back to the home, they can send him 150 kilometers away, let's say to
Oh, so far.
Brockville,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
medical thing. We want, if someone's not sick enough to stay in the hospital, bring him to our community, let our community and the people living in our community take care of our own,
Uh-huh.
and then if there's a problem, they have to go back to the hospital, you're able to get back to the hospital. Because I guarantee you, if you're in Brockville and you need to go back to the hospital, they're not taking you back to Toronto to a hospital.
Yeah, yeah. Or probably you could build around 3, 5, 10 walk-in clinics in your area. But people could go there instead of running to the hospital.
Well, urgent care. What we want to do, if you go to Humber River right now. So actually what happened, I was in Humber River a month ago, and I did something to my eye, and it was not even an urgent care. It's like less than a walk-in clinic. You walk in there and,
Yeah,
and you register with your name, whatever,
Yes.
and you go sit down and wait. So here I am, I'm freaking out, and then a friend of mine, she's a Filipino nurse, calls me up, and I let her see my eye. She said, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine." You know? So I felt okay right away.
Yeah.
Right? But here at the hospital, at 45 minutes, nobody even looked at me.
Yeah, you in the hospital waiting time is around an hour to 3 hours.
Just to look at you.
Yeah, just to look at you.
And to that end, though, if we have urgent care in our
Yeah, that's walk-in clinics.
where I have this nice woman there, and she holds my hand and she looks at my eyes and says, "Don't worry, you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
Don't whine, right? We'll take care of you." Right? All of a sudden your blood pressure goes down, everything is okay, you're not in a hurry.
Yeah, nice. The nice program that what the healthcare. Of course, going back to healthcare. How do you want to help? How do you want to help? See my question. Senior citizens.
So there's a couple of things about senior citizens.
Okay.
So I was reading this article about the senior citizen,
Okay,
60 years old. She's living in a house,
Uh-huh.
and she's at the stage, if she's living alone, they're looking to put her into a long-term care.
Oh.
So what I want to change is I want to, whatever it costs at the long-term care, let them give her the money,
Okay.
let them allow her to rent out, Calgary has a
Ah.
program where they allow them to rent out the room to a younger person who does small chores and
Correct,
small
correct.
services in the place. And the money that she would have to pay to go to long-term care, the government would pay, take the same government money and give it to her to subsidize the cost.
Let
so
her
she can-
spend the money the way she
Yeah.
wants or he wants it.
so she can stay longer in her
Right.
home. But then you have people who don't have anyone,
Uh-huh.
and they need to go somewhere to stay. And this one story I have is about a woman in a shelter where, she didn't realize, like, she was renting a house, and all of a sudden the person sold their house, so she was on the street. Instead of forcing her to a short-term shelter,
Yeah.
I believe that the homeowners in the community should be allowed to rent out rooms
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And I believe that whatever the cost that we're already paying, which is like $4,000 to $5,000 a month, costs us on a short-term shelter. Let her have a home. It'll cost, let's say, the landlord will get $1,000 a month, not $4,000 a month.
Not 4,000, but
It costs the city
1,000 or 1,005 probably,
Yeah.
1,500.
But no, I'm saying it'll cost, let's say, $1,000. If the landlord gets a rented room, $1,000 a month, the person has a home.
Yeah,
The other problem with
right.
short-term shelters that people don't believe, you don't have an address.
Ah.
If you're in a short-term shelter, you don't exist. You can't vote, you can't do anything because you don't own an address. You don't exist. And finally, the problem with the short-term shelters, if you see especially men hanging out in the street during the day, it's because in the morning they throw them out of the shelter, and they have nothing to do. But if we can take some of these people who are in the short-term shelter system, and allow them, that the government pays, to rent out rooms, because right now they don't, the previous councillor was here, said that we don't allow rooming houses in the northern part of Toronto. I totally don't agree with that, because like he said, the reason why is because of density. Well, we're building all these skyscrapers, so obviously density is not the issue today anymore. Right. So let's allow homes and people who have a hard time paying the mortgage because the interest rates go up, let them be able to subsidize the cost by renting out rooms.
And besides that, I talked to several, probably 3 or 4 people homeless that okay, they sleep the shelters. They were scared to go back there because 2, 3 of them lost their shoes and some belongings when they stay at night time. In the morning, they couldn't find their belongings. Lots of security probably caused these homeless people to stay away from shelters.
And the big thing is, another part that I'm completely different than most of the other people who are counselors or running for counselors.
Yeah.
I don't believe in segregation. I don't believe in taking all the people who are homeless or all the issues and saying it's a one-size-fits-all. You're either part of community and here you live, or you're not part of community and there you live. I believe it's that we need to look at integration and start with the people who are in better shape and better condition and integrate them into homes and not have them living, let's say,
in home or shelter?
So
affordable homes or
well, with the affordable homes,
bring them to shelter which could probably secure these people for the integration process that you are saying right now.
So some people have to be in a shelter. Some people, they can't go into a home because they're not at that stage of life and it's dangerous. But those people, we shouldn't have those shelters in a community because those people are not stable.
Yeah.
But there still are people who are stable. Those people can be living in homes. Those people, if we take the cost, it's $4,000 a month. So if we take that, if we understand that person, it's already costing us $4,000 a month. And we say, you know what, instead of $4,000 a month, we will subsidize $1,500 a month and let them rent a bachelor apartment.
Right.
It's better for everyone.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice project for somebody like you who's running for councilor here. Probably people listening that, especially the Filipinos, they don't want their elders go to long-term care.
So to that end though.
Because Filipinos, we want our elders to live with us.
And my mother too. My mother, we did not want her to go to bed rest. And we actually had a Filipino take care of her, slept with her every night. And it was very expensive. But, the alternative of taking someone, 2 ways. If that person's living alone, and they go to long-term care, whatever money that we're going to be spending on long-term care,
The government pays for their...
anyway, they have to pay.
Yes.
Use that money and let them stay at home.
Correct.
And if they're part, and if they're
That's
part
what
of,
you want.
yeah, and if they're part of a family, for sure, because what happens is if you have a person living, let's say you're a woman, their husband, gets Alzheimer's and dementia, and she can't take care of them alone. She needs help. So instead of giving money to that person to help them to stay at home, we force them to move into a long-term care. But that long-term care, you don't have the family taking care of it, and the husband's pension and the husband's benefits go to the long-term care.
Correct.
Let's keep the benefits at the home, and let's keep the money to stay with the family.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Of course, we have several the president of Kababayang Rizalista here, Lady Rose Cruz, they are listening right now because they are senior citizens
Okay,
that
please.
need help. We will be talking about more help from the city council through our friend here, Philip Davidovich, if he wins the election as councilor for Ward 8 when we come back. DJ Ann, break number 2, take it away please.
Mga kababayan, pwede na magpadala ng pera online to the Philippines gamit ang iRemit X. It's safe, secure, and hassle-free. Download the app from the Google or App Store and register for free. You can also visit our branches in Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. Or Google us at www.iremitx.com for more information. Huwag nang ipagpabukas pa. Download na!
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
Simple lang kumita kahit nasa bahay ka lang. Gamit ang iyong Show My King online franchise business. Step 1, you post. Step 2, we deliver. Step 3, you earn. Tandaan, sa Show My King lang yan.
You caught me there, DJ Ann. Well, nagbabalik po ang ating program. We're back, Open Forum. Your friend Ramon Datal here with our, of course, the candidate for Ward 8, Lawrence Eglinton for Councilor, Philip Davidovich. Thank you very much, Lady Rose Cruz, the president of Kababayang Realista, for watching. And she wants to ask Philip here. They live around the area of Lawrence and Eglinton. What more could you help them? Especially if you could help them through their OWAS. The OWAS, I think it's over age pension.
I don't know. Never heard.
Yes, don't worry because Philip here is not senior yet. You are 56, right?
You know, 62. Not there.
62 is also a senior citizen. But of course, Philip here would help us as senior citizens, not only residing at the Lawrence and Eglinton riding, but all over Canada as well as particular the Filipinos like you living here in the Lawrence area. But other support or to senior citizens that you are planning to do?
Well, there is a program now. I think it's up to $75,000. That I know a lot of synagogues and churches are getting to help seniors. It's a question more though, what types of help and what types of programs.
Healthcare, they need healthcare, additional healthcare, and they're asking, will there be another lockdown? If this,
So if they look at my platform, part of my platform,
yeah, you hate
there should
lockdowns.
never be one. I don't want to say that there should never have been one,
Okay.
but I can tell you that knowing what we know now, there should never ever be one again.
Okay.
And we need to have systems in place that it should never happen again. So specifically for seniors,
Okay.
I believe that the Toronto Public Health, which as City Councilor I'll be controlling, did focus more on other things and not focus on helping the seniors and keeping the seniors safe.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that, you know, locking down nursing homes and not letting people out instead of letting them go outside, and Toronto Public Health going into schools and not seniors' homes, I think that it was, you know, we can do better, and I'm hoping the opportunity to do better. Seniors really had a hard time the last 2-3 years, and emotional toll, and a lot of them.
High percentage of death came from
Correct.
the senior citizen.
And that's the thing, we would have just focused on, in March 2020, we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But by May 2020, we knew where people were dying.
Right.
And instead of Toronto Public Health focusing on closing small independent restaurants that people were not dying in,
Yeah.
and closing schools where people were not dying in, if they would have put all their efforts into the long care homes and the seniors' home, a lot less people would have died.
Of course, the main concern of the seniors, of course, their grandchildren, about their schooling, right? And others, supposedly programs, not only for the seniors, but the children as well.
So for sure we could have done those programs. Like let's say March, April, we didn't know how to handle it. But by May 2020, we knew we could have done a lot more outdoors. You know, so if we were allowing construction outdoors, why were we allowing the seniors to go outside and be with social distancing, right? Be with their families. There's no science behind that. That was more like to be safe for certain people, but it wasn't the best. The way, when I'm city councilor, I'm going to make sure that the seniors are able to go out more, not less.
Yes, correct. Thank
And
you.
be active in the community more, not less.
We cannot stay at home for so long. Boredom will definitely creeps in our body, in our mind.
But it's worse than the boredom. They're watching TV all day. They're watching CP24. And CP24 is basically saying the world's coming to an end.
Yes, the news.
So it makes you more, like the first thing I learned is I stopped watching the news. When I stopped watching the news, I felt better already. So
Because you know, most of the senior citizens staying at home, they want to know the latest news about this and that.
Today, what's
But
today?
they're scared.
They're scared, yeah. Instead of being scared, take them for a walk outside.
All right, you're right. And this will be our last issue that we discuss, the crime rate, not only in your area, but all over the greater Toronto area. The crime rate, a lot of shooting incidents, a lot of deaths, collision among younger drivers. What are your plans to do? Not only to eliminate, of course, so hard to eliminate these crimes, particularly the handguns. What are your plans?
So I don't think it's hard to eliminate.
Oh,
I think it might not be politically correct to
Oh,
eliminate, but
okay.
I don't think it's hard to eliminate, and I'm not looking to be politically correct. What I'm looking to do is having the police, instead of standing at Bathurst and St. Clair giving out speeding tickets,
okay.
having them actually knowing where the high crime rate is. Let's say you have specifically nurses coming home at night in an area where we know it's dark.
Danger is
It's
there.
danger, and I want to get back to local policing. Like
Yeah, it's in your ward. Lawrence and Riding.
You know, so I want to have, I want to have, my writing is basically Filipino, Spanish, Jewish, Italian.
Correct.
So I want to have represented in the police forces local community police officers from those writings. And I want them to be, part of the neighborhood to see specifically what the community needs for them. Now, to give you an idea of how bad the situation is, a lot of the students who were not allowed to go to school during the lockdown, the high school students,
Yes.
they're working for gangs now. Because,
Ooh.
and the
And they're
biggest
so young.
and the biggest thing now is they're stealing cars, and the police don't want to prosecute.
Because they're young.
They're young, and
The law says you
and,
can.
and as soon as they go in, they get let out anyway. So I need to fix that. Like one of my first things is I need to say these high school students, if we don't fix it now, these are going to be lost people.
Okay.
So I'm saying the police know who they are, and there are pretty smart, intelligent people who know from all the world How do you take someone who got into a bad pattern, how do you take them to recorrect that and fix that? So instead of the police just ignoring it and letting it go, I want to help these teenagers find a different path. And to give it even worse, a lot of the students who also were not sent to school, they got on drugs. And if they didn't decide to join a gang, they're on drugs. They leave their families at 18 years old, and they go onto shelters, and they don't know what to do, and they're in a day shelter, and then during the day they have nothing to do because the shelters throw them out, and they'll walk onto the TTC, and they have other problems because of the drugs and because of the alcohol and because you couldn't go into a local store unless it was the LCBO or a cannabis store. So people go where it was available. So these kids, they go on the DTC and they get ticketed with provincial criminal offenses for not paying a $3.50 TTC Presto Pass. That has to stop. We know who the people who are abusing the system are. Let's deal with the abusers, but let's help these poor kids that need help, and let's fix their situation, maybe put them into private homes before they get too lost.
But you need the law to do that. How could a plain and simple councillor from Toronto help this prevention of juvenile crimes?
No,
Juvenile crimes.
But the councillors decide where you prioritize the police and Toronto Public Health. So it really is, when I become councillor, it really is my box. So this is really what, the shelter system is all under city council. So I need to fix this. These are people that they can still be saved. These are people that I have, there's a program in Barrie, I think, where they take kids like this and they put them in homes, and it's generally from 18 to 25, and they pay, of course, the rent for the home, or they pay some rent, and they get looked after by a good family. And 18 to 25, the brain is still not totally developed. So we can help these people. We don't need to put them in shelters, temporary shelters, and let the 40-year-olds teach the 20-year-olds how to be better criminals.
You know what? In our country, the Philippines, of course, juvenile crime, the policeman could not apprehend 18 years and down. 18 years old and down for committing crimes, say hold up or carnapping one. And these kids are wise. They're bringing their birth certificate, showing the police, I am only 15, how could you cannot arrest me. But what the law now dictates in the country, the parents will have to bear whatever crimes their children have made. And the parents, they could send the parents to jail. What about, I don't know, that's a different laws in other countries. Here in Canada, because here in Canada you could not apprehend two juvenile delinquents. As what you said, in Barrie they have put up some housing for the juvenile crimes. And I don't know what to do here in Canada, because look, the other day when there was a collision, the driver was a teenager at, I think, 16 or 17, and somebody died. Or in Barrie, 4 teenagers died. They're young. They're allowed to drive at 16 years old. In our country, no. You could allow only 18 and up. But here, 16, they're allowed to drive, and some rich kids. See, Porsche, whatever car they could drive so fast in the highway. They are having their drag race. Well, you're right, only the police could probably...
Well, no, but understanding that the police can only go so far, we have in Wilson and I think it's Wilson and Faywood, there's an organization called JAX.
Okay.
And they work with teenagers like that. And you can't go after the parents to pay for the crimes, because these kids just run away.
There is no law here.
No, but also they run away. So you need to make, and maybe you want to interview the fellow who started JAX.
Correct.
Because he is the expert, he's one of the people that I'm helping me and advising me on what to do. But there are plans how to treat a child and how to handle a child to get them out of that terrible direction.
And that's probably one of the concerns of the City Council of Toronto, because there are more kids right now. As what you said, they stayed home for 2 years.
Yeah.
And some of them did not return to school. Why? Simply because they don't want to. They don't want to follow what their parents ordered them. Go to school. The children will go out from the house and then make lakwacha.
Yeah, but maybe also those parents never went back to work. There's two ways. It's not just the kids.
Yeah,
the kids are watching what the parents are doing. What are the parents doing? Staying at home, drinking, smoking marijuana, right? So no, we need outside influence, and we need red lines. So red lines is you cannot take something from someone else.
Correct.
If you take something from someone else, we need to deal with it.
Yes, and how could you possibly deal with it?
We need to find a way to instead of saying we can't deal with it and not treat the patient, we need to treat the patient. So a kid who steals, a teenager who steals,
You let admit that they are under the influence of drugs.
but there are experts. There are like
So
this that know how to treat these people. And the trouble is the police are not saying, we have this person, let's deal with this person. The police are letting them get to 18, and then at 18 charge them criminally. That's the direction we're in. And I'm saying, no, we got to stop that before they become 18.
Yeah.
But we can still
lower down the age of juvenile crimes commission, right?
Or you know what? I don't need to make more criminals.
Yeah.
I need to find a way to rehabilitate based on proven, right? And there are proven ways. There's proven systems that have worked. And I know a lot of my friends that their kids were disasters when they were in high school, and then when they got to their 20s, all of a sudden it's like an alien left their body.
Yeah.
They're good people.
All right. So you will do a lot of things just that. You cannot eliminate instantly crime prevention. You could not do that. But
Well,
of course, so you're on the right track.
But I'm going to eliminate right away getting a ticket for $325. I'm going to eliminate right away to make sure the police take the people who are actually stealing the cars. I'm going to make sure the car companies put in a
That's
system.
prevalent right now.
Yeah,
Carjacking.
Yeah, that these car, in other words, like the car manufacturers know how to stop the carjacking.
Yeah.
It's just good business for them, right? That has to stop right away. I'm going to stop all these spam calls that people are trying to steal your money because Revenue Canada send you money.
Scam.
Yeah, we can spam. We can stop those calls right away. And those are police jobs.
Well, of course, probably you have a lot of things to do about police visibility in your area.
Yeah, but if the police will be busy doing police work,
Yeah.
and not work that just creates revenue for the city, they're going to have time to focus and they're going to have more respect from the community.
I've heard that Toronto lacks police people or policemen. They need a lot of people as police officers.
They need the people who are hired as policemen to actually serve and protect,
Uh-huh.
and the people that we've already licensed guns to.
That's probably one of the projects that you have to do.
Yeah.
Increase police force.
We have all these bylaw officers that are working for different things. They're quasi-police force. I want them to take them away from going after the vulnerable and actually do positive things for the community.
Oh.
And then there'll be enough people for everybody. I'm not looking to do anything to cost the city more money, and for sure not the taxpayer more money.
Well, one question that I asked, because from the 57 councillors used to be lording over the Toronto area, you have only, I think, 25, 27. How many, do you think a councillor like you could handle the problems of 170 people or residents in your area? 170?
So I asked this question, Mel Lastman. I don't know if you remember Mel Lastman.
Yeah, I know Mayor Mess last month.
So he was very good friends with my father.
Okay.
And I asked him when they made one city, when they increased the city size instead of having all separate cities.
Yes.
When they increased the GTA, can you handle it? And he explained to me, but once the infrastructure is in place and you're managing an existing infrastructure, you don't need as many bosses.
Oh, okay.
And it comes to a point that you're better off to have less people who can actually do something and focus on a few top a few projects that need to be focused on than to have a bunch of people chirping away and no one able to do anything.
Oh, so you favor the trimming down of the councillors?
No, I feel I'm going to be 4 years in place. The
Okay.
first 2 years I'm going to fix things that are existing.
Mhm.
The next 2 years I'm going to add new things.
Ah, okay.
And if I can do a few things, if I can fix most of the issues, and if I can add 1 or 2 new things, it'll be a good 4 years for me in the city.
Ah, all right. My last question to you before we go: hate crime. Hate crime. Did you say something about that?
Well, I mean, hate crimes, why do people have time to hate? If people are busy and people are working, if you look at who's hate, it's people, you have this...
Let's say the black survivor, there's the black, there's black people. Remember what happened in America before? That's why...
Okay, let's go there. I had lunch with the governor of Missouri once.
yeah.
And my part was always pushing $15 an hour,
Okay.
which are either a secondary job or a job for someone not able to create a $70,000 first year job. And I said, people need to be busy, people need to do things.
Oh, yeah.
And he got really angry at me. He actually stood up and he said, I'm not creating Starbucks jobs. And I said, people need to be busy. And then a couple of weeks later, there was a riot, I think in St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
And I told him, says, if these people would be busy and working, instead of just waiting and getting their welfare check, they'd be much better off. And I had the same conversation, because I did a lot of work in upstate New York,
Yeah, Asian.
with Senator Gillibrand.
Bailing na
And
Asian.
Senator Gillibrand told me, and actually I had a meeting, I think, in her office in the Senate in Washington,
Mhm.
and I said, let me create it. It was that time, it was the old Kodak site.
Mhm.
Let me create this manufacturers for $15 an hour jobs.
Oh.
And she says, no, I'd rather just give them welfare.
Ah, nice.
And that's my fight. My fight is that people are working and people have what to do. Even if you have to subsidize and give them additional money, let them be busy. And if they're
Oh,
busy,
yeah,
they don't
right.
have time to hate.
Correct. Wow, that's a nice one. Well, of course, I like what this guy's plans and programs, not only for Lawrence Eglinton Mining, but as a whole in the greater Toronto area will benefit. And the people here in Canada will benefit. The way he explained his job creation, creating more manufacturing businesses in his area, the healthcare, help for seniors, not only the seniors but the kids, crime prevention area. He's got the total menu for a livable Ward 8 riding. Of course, your parting words to all these voters, Mr. Philip Davidovich.
So I want to say, Salamat po. Thank you very much for spending the time with me. I hope I have your vote. You go out and vote for me. And I have the opportunity to show you what I can do the next 4 years. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And to the people or the residents of Eglinton, Lawrence, you will see this afternoon Philip Davidovich with the Filipino crew knocking at your doors to bring to you the recipe for success in a livable Lawrence Eglinton riding or warding. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Philip. And thank you very much sa lahat po ng ating mga kababayan residing at Lawrence and Eglinton. It's the man ready to make a change in political arena in Eglinton, Lawrence riding or what. Vote for him October 24, but on Friday, you could have your advance voting. Just put X on the name of Philip Davidovich as Councilor of Ward 8. Thank you very much. Magandang hapon. Good day, Toronto.